YouTube, my name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, this is an introduction to this Massey Ferguson 135 restoration, and I bought this tractor quite a few months ago now, but I only got it last week. And when we got it, we drove it from a neighbour's property over to here, or the neighbour drove it over for me actually, and look, it runs down the road okay. There's quite a lot of problems with it. I bought it cheap, and we'll just swing across now. At the moment I've got the bonnet off and I've got all the mud guards and roof and all that off, but I took a bit of footage last week for the stew that had just a quick walk around of what it looked like when I got it. So we'll swing across to that now.
Well, here you go. Here's something that happened today. It's a Massey Ferguson 135, and look, I've owned this for a little while, but the people were still using it. They've been running a pump with it, so I've been a bit eager to get it. And look, the back tyres are good. The mud guards and rail frame and all that, they're just complete rubbish. Linkage arms aren't too bad. The rims aren't too bad. Got 14.9 24-inch tyres on the back, and it's leaving its mark, no worries at all. It's a 3-cylinder Perkins engine, and look, I got it cheap. They had it on a pump. I'll just might push the starter in, or the stopper in. So, even though the motor's poor on it, it does start and run okay. There's got a little bit of a miss in it, and when you loosen an injection pipe you can get that out, so it's getting air into the system somehow. And this is one of our next projects. I've always wanted a 135. This is the first one I've ever owned, and I got it nice and cheap, so it's got no foot plates. It's a roughie, which is, look, that's how I like them. Gives me a chance to do a lot to it. So yeah, there's original front rim this side, and it's non-original that side. But yeah, look, all in all, that'll be getting a big clean up and all the rubbish taken off it over the next weekend, and we'll decide what we're doing and how we're doing it.
There's a few photos I took as I walked around and zoomed in on a few things, so we'll just run through them about now, and that'll give you an idea of what we're starting with. this tractor's got a miss in it, and the miss, it's a 3-cylinder Perkins, the AD3152, so the D means direct injection, so it hasn't got pre-combustion chambers, so in between the exhaust manifold ports, there's no little triangle plates with 3 bolts in like the 35s, or some of the early 35s had. The 135 has the direct injection engine, better engine, just a later model of the Perkins engine. Now, a few things that we have to look at with this tractor, and we're going to go right through it. There's many things wrong, but the PDO at the back, someone's put a plate there to hold the PDO shaft from falling out. Why, I don't know. It's done a lot of PDO work. You can see the backing plate on the left-hand brake is all peppered with, from slashing actually. And so we know with the PDO shaft worn out, we'll put a new shaft in and we'll check it out. The hydraulics at the rear end here, at the 3-point linkage, they don't work, but now and then it'll just work. So I'm presuming that we have a sticky main control valve in the hydraulic pump. But yeah, sometimes you just look around and it's the way it goes. The injection pump is leaking. It needs to be gone right through. Now, with the miss in the engine, sometimes if you open the bleeder and bleed the pump and let it run for a bit, the mist will go out and it'll run like a beauty, and you can crack it open on their pump that they had it on, and the mist will stay away for a few minutes, then it'll slowly come back in. So that tells us that there's probably a little bit of air coming into the, in between the tank, and probably between the lift pump and the tank. The tractor's had a fire in at one stage, and it had a fire in around this battery section here, and it burnt quite a bit. There's a lot of homemade wiring in the background here. You'll notice the tank is black. They originally were grey, and when they put the tank on, they put this cap here on, which is a cap that doesn't breathe. So I have a breathing cap there that we're putting on it, but what was happening was, after a while when it was running, it would play up, and this tank was actually sucking in, and you can see where it's actually sucked in, there's a couple of creases. And so we need to blow that tank back out. Pardon me. Blow the tank out. Where they normally have 2 fuel filters on the left hand side here, in the fire they must have all burnt, and they've got a dual fuel filter assembly. So we're going to try and get that back to close to standard with 2 separate ones. The pipe work for the fuel pump has been all bodged up, and because they've changed this filter housing, they've actually changed all the piping around. They've run rubber fuel pipes or fuel hoses around the other side to the fuel lift pump. One of those pipes we can't buy, so we're going to go through the process of making that. Fuel gauge works. It starts and runs quite easily. The front axle, where the pin sits in the front axle bolster, and the bolster is the part that holds the fixed pin and the axle pivots on, the bolt must have been loose on that, and it's, oh look, it'd have 15 millimetres of wear there. So the bolster's going to have to come out. We're going to bore that out, put an oversized block in there, and probably re-bore it again. It's got a bumper bar on the front I haven't taken off yet, but it will disappear. We'll do the wheel bearings, the kingpin bushes, and we're just going to paint it up and restore it as best we can. Once again, we're going to do it up and road register it so we can take it for a run. With the 24-inch tyres on it, the Gold tractor that I've done up, the FE35, these 24-inch tyres, they're a good 2 inches taller. So we've clocked that at 23 kilometres an hour, no worries at all. So even the speedo on this says 26 kilometres an hour. Someone's put a metric speedo and tacho in there. It shouldn't have this this air cleaner bowl there. It should have the proper little tin cap, so we'll put that back on. It's got a Uber muffler on it. The Uber muffler is look, I love it. I'm very pleased to have that, but it's been all bodged up around here, and where the exhaust manifold comes out of the head, and then you have 3 bolts holding the elbow on that the muffler sits in. Well, I've welded all that together and done a terrible job, so I do have a new manifold here all ready for it, and a new elbow, and we'll try and tidy this up and use it if we can. The people I bought it off, they bought this tractor from Mount Roma, which is from Western Queensland, and it obviously did a lot of slashing, like I say, with the brake backing plate being peppered from sticks and things like that. And also on the little cabin they'd made on it, they had a bit of tin coming down the back to protect the operator. The seat's rusted and cracked, so it'll have a new seat. Steering wheels, it needs a new steering wheel. Now the steering box is pretty crook when you wind it. It goes up and down. It shouldn't do that. If it was a John Deere, that'd probably be alright, but it shouldn't do that. And the main tube coming down into the steering box, it's not a 135 one. The dash isn't bolted on. It just hung around in there, and it's actually off a gold and grey tractor, and it's the same length. All that's okay, but the brackets at the top that hold the dash in, the 35 series and the FE35, particularly the gold one, they had a different mount for the dash. So this has just been floating around. It's had 1 bolt in each side. The bonnet, look, the bonnet's not too bad. It's not real straight, but it's fixable, I believe. There's no bottom grill. They've got a homemade bottom grill there, so we have to. I've actually ordered a grill kit, just a 13-inch grill kit, and we've got to put headlights on it. And, like I say, get it fully road registered. To work out what we have, probably one of the first jobs we do on this tractor will be tank off, and we'll do a compression test just to see what's going on with it. I'm fully prepared to do the engine up completely. I think I'll probably have to, and that's, you know, when I bought it I was happy with that. One of them, it's got no foot plates on it. Didn't have any when I bought it. The foot plate on the left hand side here where they come along have a little knob, it's chopped off, so we have to put another one of those on. The clutch second stage works, but it's a very hard clutch, so there's something wrong in there, and out of the bell housing it leaks quite a bit of oil. So we've got a rear engine seal. Now the engine number here just ends in D, so that means it's a rope rear seal. If it ended in DL it would have a lip rear seal, so it's a rope rear seal, so we have to fix that. The fault with these tractors is when people split them to do the clutch, it's too hard to get out little bolts up in under the tank here. Well, they've been left out with this one. Someone's never bothered to put them back in. But look, all in all, I'm looking forward to doing this project. Follow along with us. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know what we're going to be up for with it. It's a bit of a mystery bag. It's a lucky dip, and that's how I like it. I like buying old tractors. My hobby is restoring old tractors and going to tractor shows with them and things like that. You can have a look at the previous videos. I've got a nice John Deere 420 high crop I've done. I've got the FE35. I had some others that I've sold to museums. And just behind me here, there's a 1948 TEA20. And after the gold tractor, I've cleaned the shed out now. I've got a bay for this tractor, I've got a bay for that tractor under the gantry. So hopefully we're going to get stuck into a bit of tractor restoration. I've had a little break after the FE35 and I went and did some garden beds for duty up at the house there. So I'll go handheld for a minute, I'll walk you around the tractor, I'll try and show you a little bit closer what I was talking about, and we'll go from there. Right, this is the right side of the engine, and
This has an alternator on it that it didn't have. Like, this is a generator bracket. It would have had a generator originally. Because I'm using it as a road run tractor, I will be putting an alternator on, but there's room to put a different alternator, get it tucked in right close next to the engine and do a lot nicer job. It has had a new starter motor on it and fuel lift pump. We're going to put a new fuel lift pump on, but these rubber hoses, they're going to go. We're going to try and plumb it correctly with the steel lines. Something I hadn't mentioned earlier was this is the inlet. This is the oil bath air cleaner, and I'll just spin you around a bit there. And in the fire, the air cleaner must have been damaged. That's a brand new aftermarket air cleaner, oil bath air cleaner, but this is the air cleaner hose. It's just non-existent. So it's been sitting on the pump for, well, they said it was on the pump for 1,500 hours, the last 1,500 hours, and they had no idea that this was gone, so it's probably dusted the engine. And the reason I say it's probably dusted the engine is when it gets really hot, the oil pressure gauge drops way, way down. So, and that's fine. I bought it like that, knowing it was like that. At present, it's got a bit of a bumper bar, homemade bumper on there. That's coming off. I don't want that on the tractor. Now, this model had the diff lock, had response control, and they had pretty good hydraulics when they were working. There's no foot plate on this side at all. It just wasn't there, so it's one that, they're sort of like a flat one. And we're going to put the safety guards down, the round top guards, not the square top guards. Now, it's all, I've given it a big bath through here compared with what it was the other day. The seat needs work, but I think it'll, well, I think we'll just put a new one on. Now, the tyres are certainly good enough for what we're going to do with it. And they're 14.9/28. We have a wheel bolt, a wheel nut missing there, but that's no big deal. The radius rods going up to the front are quite straight. Now we have looks like a 750/16 on this side and a 600/16 on the other. This is the original rim. We're going to put two brand new wheels and tyres on the front, and I'll just walk you over to the gold tractor here. It's hiding next to Johnny, and it'll have a brand new set of tyres and wheels the same as that on it. And you can see the difference there. The John Deere's got 750/16s and the FE35 has 600/16s. So we'll swing back around again. Now the radiator, it's a little bit chowdered up down the bottom there. I'll try and keep it in focus for you. So a new radiator will go in along this side of the engine. You can see the tank sits down a little bit low. There's a slight little bend there. So we're going to try and fix that. Now it's had a new water pump, but it'll get a new one again. The injection pump's leaking. It's just a rotary pump, and when we swing around, that's the exhaust manifold, and it's been all cracked through here and it's welded through here, and it's just a big mess. But I have a new one of them sitting here already, so that'll be okay. But the tank will come off shortly and we'll do the compression test. Now with the filters, you can see one battery leads is pretty wild old setup. But with the filters there, you can see well, you probably can't, there's two bolt holes there for one filter, then there's two down here for another. So it didn't have a double bank like that. That's been put on by the previous owner. It's just, yeah, probably just what they did to get going after the fire, I'd say. All under the top of the bonnet's all burnt. And if we move back here a little, and at the bottom of the frame there, pardon me, there's the fuel line coming in, a rubber hose, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's leaking a bit. Here's the bracket for the regulator, the voltage regulator, because with the generator you have a voltage regulator, but on this tractor the alternator's there now, so there's no need. Now, going up to the steering box, that's just the in-play in the steering box, so that's not the best. There's no end on the foot plate there, that's just been cut off, and there's no foot plate. There's a couple little drips underneath it here. This arm, for some reason, has been all welded on with 2 bolts up the end, so who knows what went on there. But yeah, the steering box and all that will get all done up. I think I can save that muffler, I'm pretty confident. Then when we come around the back here, starting up the top near the seat, it's got a number plate bracket I'm going to try and save just because it's an original item. Now the arm down here, it's had a bit of wire jammed in there. It has the original sway chains, and you can see this plate here. That's something to do with holding that PDO in, I believe. On the other side here, the levelling box is seized. That doesn't want to turn. And if we look in the side there, that axle seal's been leaking. But once again, the tyres are pretty good. So I'll drop you down there. We have another sway chain there, that's okay. The wear in the lower arms here is huge. So all the pins will come out, and when the final drives are off, we'll take all the pins and everything out. And so looking up over the top, we should be able to give you a look through there. And it's right next door to the 48 TEA20, and we'll be doing, when I run out of parts for the 35, for the 135 here, we're going to swing across to that, but that'll be a separate series, it won't be in the same playlist. Right, so there you go, that's an introduction to the Fergie 135 here, and like I said, I don't know how long it's going to take. We'll just bring videos out step by step along the way, and hopefully we'll get right into it. The FE35, the gold tractor, see the engine was already done on that and a few other things, so we didn't revisit the whole tractor, but I'm thinking that there'll be quite a bit more work in this 135. So anyway, look, please follow right along, put your comments in as we go, share it with your mates, all that, and we'll just see how we go with it. Sparex do sponsor me some parts for my restorations, like for the 48 TE20, they've given me quite a lot of parts for that. They're not sponsoring the 135, it's just myself, I'm doing that. But as you may be aware, I own a business in Australia, in Queensland, in Bundaberg, Queensland, called Queensland Tractor Spares. We have a website, www.queenslandtractorspares.com.au. Hopefully some of the parts I use are in there, but are in our website if you'd like to jump on. If you're overseas, shop locally. I don't expect people to shop in Australia. If they're overseas, shop locally, support your local industry. And another little footnote before we say goodbye to the introduction is, you'll see me do things on this tractor. I've just gone 40 years, actually I've just gone 41 years as a diesel fitter, as a tractor mechanic. And I sold my workshop 5 years ago, but I'm still in the industry, and my hobby now is doing up tractors and taking them to shows. So you'll see me do some things. You'll see sometimes I'll be in the shed in thongs and I'm in flip-flops. These things, and that's just what I do. It's probably not the safest thing, but it's not a how-to. I'm not trying to show you you should do it this way or you should do it that way. I'm showing you how I'm doing it, and I'll explain as I go. Now, if you have a mate that does a particular job different to me, look, I'd like to hear about it. That doesn't mean I'm right and he's wrong, or he's right and I'm wrong. Most of the times it just means there's two ways to do a job. And look, I've had blokes come in and work for me over the years, as we employed fitters, and we had trucks that went around farms and that fixing tractors, and I'd put a new bloke on and I'd say, well, this is how we do that, and they'd say, well, oh no, we do it like that, and you look at how they've done it and you think, why didn't I think of that years ago, you know? So look, there's some great ideas out there. Please feel free to comment and share them and all that sort of thing. And but yeah, it's not a competition on who does everything the best or who's the most accurate or who's the this and that. It's just following old Bundy Bear along here doing his tractor up. So feel free to share it. Please follow along and come for the ride and enjoy it. We'll catch you a bit later on, eh?